The best Multnomah County will give us is a single man tent and a sleeping bag. Tell us to go sleep on the streets.
Now at 6, we're following up on more than $100 million in housing funds that haven't been spent. Why some Portlanders say they're frustrated that money isn't being doled out to people who need it.
And the city of Portland now expected to invest hundreds of millions of dollars to renovate the Moda Center. How Mayor Keith Wilson is responding to the bill coming up. Plus,
put that on the menu. That is the best pasta I've had in my life.
Okay. Yeah, that was the shot we had.
That was great.
Okay. What pasta are we making here? You'll have to stick around until 6:45 to find out as your news at Sunrise starts right now. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on your Thursday. I'm China Green.
and I'm Matthew Herchik. So graceful, just
Graceful is one of the things I haven't been called many times in my life.
Rod and Crystal standing by with a look at the weather and traffic. Hey, gentlemen.
Good morning to you. This is our finale of completely dry days, at least for a little while. Sunday's looking like it potentially will be dry. We do have clouds coming in this morning. These are mid to high level clouds, and they're going to continue to pass across our state. So we're starting off with some cloudiness. Probably it'll be a partly sunny morning, and then we'll get into some increasing sunshine this afternoon. Visibility is good, not seeing fog. It's chilly, 35 in Salem. There are some frosty spots around. Great visibility from the Wells Fargo building. Looking over downtown Portland, the number out of PDX is 37 degrees. To the bus stop we go. So all dry today. The passing clouds this morning, about 35 on average. Sun up at 7:16. We'll still be in the 40s at noon today. A little bit cooler than it has been. But once the sun starts to crank up, the afternoon temperatures will warm to about 53 when the kids get out of school. Here's Chris.
All right, Rod, let's give you a little tour of the Freeway camera network. We'll take you down to Wilsonville, zooming in. I-5 northbound traffic coming right into your living room here. There's the northbound commute at Wilsonville Road. We're still zipping along just fine over on that side of town. Over to the west side, out on the Sunset near Cedar Hills Boulevard, there's the eastbound drive. You can see all the way out to Murray Boulevard there, and you can see lots of elbow room on that side of town as well. So far, the freeways are in good shape. Know this a little bit later on this morning up at the Ridgefield area. A 2-mile stretch of I-5 washed out doing some road work on southbound I-5, doing some guardrail repairs. So between 9 and 1, obviously, that'll create some delays in that time frame. So far, so good. China?
Thank you, Chris. In British Columbia, authorities say an 18-year-old woman was behind the school shooting that left at least 9 people dead and 25 others injured.
This was in the remote small town of Tumbler Ridge, hundreds of miles northeast of Vancouver. Police say Jessie Van Rootselaar killed her mother and 11-year-old stepbrother at home, then killed a teacher and 5 12 and 13-year-old students in the school library. Darian Quist was in class when the school went into lockdown.
We just all need to work together as the close community that we are and make sure that everyone affected by this tragedy today gets the proper help and support that they need to keep on moving.
Authorities say the shooter died of a self-inflicted injury and had a history of police visits to her home to check on her mental health, though any motive remains unclear.
The Search for Today show host Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy, is now in its 12th day. On Wednesday, FBI agents scoured the roads and desert terrain surrounding Guthrie's Tucson, Arizona home. NBC reporting a pair of black gloves has been recovered and they are being tested for DNA. Investigators continue to follow up on leads after the FBI released this video showing a masked armed person with a backpack outside Guthrie's home.
Keizer police are still looking for the suspect or suspects involved in the first of 2 shootings Monday night in Keizer. A father was shot in his car while leaving the In-N-Out with his family, including 2 young kids. The dad was hit in the head, but officials say he will survive. Another man was shot in the leg in that same incident. A few hours later, in a separate incident, someone shot at a delivery driver in the same area. He was not injured, and police have arrested a suspect in that case.
It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up.
People living on the streets in Portland are speaking out after the city discovered tens of millions of dollars in unspent funds. The money was found in the Portland Housing Bureau's budget.
And the city says it was recently discovered after it hadn't been properly tracked or budgeted. Sunrise reporter Thomas Schultz joins us from Northeast Portland. So Thomas, what else did the homeless community have to say about this?
Yeah, guys, we spoke with two men yesterday who are trying to claw their way out of homelessness and say a little bit more government assistance would go a long way. One of them is named Jeff. He and his son were evicted from their apartment after losing government assistance. Jeff can't walk on his own, and his son is diabetic, requiring life-saving medication. Finding housing, he says, has been really challenging.
Best Multnomah County will give us is a single man tent and a sleeping bag. Tell us to go sleep on the streets.
On the Central East Side, we met a man who has been living in a shelter for 8 months. Caleb Moyer is working and going to school, though housing still remains out of reach.
Every time I go back there and talk to the case manager, I just feel like that they're not really doing their job. I just feel like that I'm not really getting helped.
Both say they could really use some more help from the government. Though as for that $100 million plus in unspent housing money, the city says it can't go out immediately. It needs to be budgeted first, and some of the money can only be used for certain things. We're told around $20 million could be used to help people pay rent. The city council is currently considering 2 pieces of legislation to do just that. Those plans must be formally approved through the city's budget process first. That can take months. In the meantime, this is the top priority for Mayor Keith Wilson, and it has been even back when he was campaigning for the job. In response to these two men's stories, he tells us in a statement that this just underscores the urgency to provide every Portlander a stable, safe place to sleep every night. Guys.
All right, Thomas Schultz reporting live. Thank you, Thomas. Developing this morning, lawmakers are considering a bill that could potentially steer public money towards a $600 million renovation of the Moda Center.
The upgrades are a key piece of the Blazers' long-term future here in Portland. Sunrise reporter Corey Johnson in studio with us. More on that meeting and what city leaders are saying about that investment. Corey?
Yeah, that's right, Matthew. China, it was a public hearing for Senate Bill 1501, which could help bankroll major renovations at the Moda Center. The arena brings in around $670 million to the regional economy every single year and employs thousands of people. Now, Wednesday was the bill's first public hearing in the Oregon Senate. It would create a framework for shared ownership of the arena between the state and the city of Portland, with funding for renovations tied to taxes on players, performers, and nearby businesses. Now, the city would also plan to make a hefty investment, including $120 million for the renovations, as well as operating expenses. The mayor says they're committing to over a 20-year period. Well, some like Stephen Wright with Tax Fairness Oregon oppose that bill, saying taxpayers are footing the bill.
The risk of losing the Blazers far outweighs the cost it's going to take to just bring this stadium up to state-of-the-art fashion.
Thus, Oregonians, especially the poor, will be paying for what should otherwise be the owner's financial responsibility.
Now, the timeline on the city's investment is still unknown, as this bill would first need to begin to move forward. Now, the bill would be discussed yet again in a work session on February 16th. Matthew?
Corey Johnson reporting live in studio. Corey, thank you. And speaking of the Moda Center, the Blazers were not there last night. Instead, they were on the road in Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. The Blazers went into the game on a 3-game win streak, but that came to a crashing halt when the Blazers fell 133 to 109. The Timberwolves scored 43 points off of 26 Blazers turnovers. But the Blazers have a chance to rebound tonight when they take on the Jazz in Salt Lake City. Right now, Utah is one of the worst teams in the West, sitting with a record of just 18-37. The Blazers, meanwhile, are still sitting in 10th place in the West, holding on to that last play-in spot.
Meantime, Trailblazers great Buck Williams has been named a finalist for the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Williams played 7 seasons in Portland and was a key player during the team's run in the 90s. Williams was a finalist last year. The 2026 class will be announced in April.
And the WNBA preseason schedule has been set. The Portland Fire will open the preseason against Seattle at Climate Pledge Arena on April 29th. The second preseason game is at the Moda Center against the LA Sparks on May 3rd. That all leads up to the Fire's inaugural season opener in Portland on May 9th.
And speaking of schedules, a date is set for Oregon's annual spring football game. The Ducks will be back on the field in Autzen Stadium on April 25th. Kickoff is set for 1 p.m. and admission is free.
6:09, time for a look at the weather with Rod Hill.
Hi, everybody. A nice day coming up today. We are going to stay completely dry for another day. Here's a look up at the lodge. If you're going up the high country, dry weather, some passing clouds this morning, currently 32. Past temperatures, government camp today, 43, 44 degrees expected. Here's a look at the Oregon Zoo. Again, no fog anywhere. 38 is the number. There are some frosty spots. There's Battleground in Vancouver at 32, 32. Hillsborough, you may get down to freezing by sunup. You're setting at 34. It's 33 up in Sandy this morning. Winds are light across the area, including you folks out near the gorge. Estacada's at 35, and that matches you folks in Salem this morning. So here's the weather map for today. We have passing clouds currently. Those clouds move off to the east this afternoon. So this afternoon will be quite sunny, coast and valley, but cloudiness will be out east. Bend today, 51. Again, everybody's dry, and we'll be back up into the 50s, coast and valley. Not as warm as yesterday. Yesterday, a lot of us were in the upper 50s. PDX was 58. I was at 53 today. And then tomorrow, the morning hours, probably dry for the Rose City. Rain picks up in the afternoon. Futurecast currently shows that somewhere around 2 o'clock into the 3 o'clock hour, and then it's raining the back half of the day into the night. We've got scattered showers on Valentine's Day, not as wet as I was thinking it would be. In fact, Sunday could be all dry. There's a weather front that comes in and kicks up the rain Monday afternoon, and that could be the first of a number of fronts that brings us a pretty wet week next week, and we still think the mountains will have a very good snowy week that's coming up next week. Back to you.
Rod, thank you.